friends, Joe here at Reverb.com. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about Wray and show you some of his riffs. He's obviously most famous for the iconic rumble. We all know rumble. It's kind of hard to quantify the influence of rumble. All of our guitar heroes from Jimmy Page to Jeff Beck and many others have cited rumble as their earliest influence. Pete Townsend said if it weren't for Wray's rumble, he never would have picked up an electric guitar. In Link's 50-plus year career, he continued to evolve as a guitar player and have new and fresh takes, different approaches towards his playing and his writing. So in this video, I'd like to show you 4 riffs that kind of represent his evolution through the years. Link used many different guitars throughout his career. In the early days, you see him a lot with the department store guitars, Airlines and such. He moved on, he played Les Pauls, he played Strats, he played an SG. For this video, we've got here a Guild Jetstar. For this first riff, I've also plugged in a Lawrence Petross 68 drive, just for a little bit of saturation. This riff is from the summer of 1961. It's a song called El Toro, and it has this very cool Spanishy, kind of almost spaghetti western type of vibe to it. Very cool color, very cool tonality. So it's pretty simple, and we're just walking up to in the key of A. And then the right-hand technique there. In the low E, B flat, up to C, back to B flat, and to A. So immediately that tonality gives us that Western, that kind of Spanish thing. Okay, and then the riff, going on the 5th fret there, and then bending from 4 up a half step with the open E, super slick. And then to outline this B flat to A, just grab these two here, 3rd fret, and then down to A. Okay, for the next riff, we are going a decade later, 1971. He puts out a record called Wray, a quintessential country funk album. It's so groovin', lots of guitars, lots of acoustic guitars, and the tune that we're gonna look at here is a simple tune. It's called The Rise and Fall of Jimmy Stokes. Listen to the track when those drums come in and then there's some other lead guitar parts that happen. It's just like, it really puts you into place. It's really great. Walking up to A with the open E. It goes chromatic on the first time there. Just our A7 shape there, hammering on that 3rd. Going to like a D shape there. So it's simple, it's a great example of having a very simple guitar part that has a lot of legs. He comes in with these really great licks. And then later in the tune, he does this. So that kind of, you know, pentatonic, dominant 7 feel for soloing and stuff, there's just loads of room. You can rock on that all day. Next riff is the intro to the song Midnight Lover. This is from 1975. This is, I think, a monster riff. It's heavy, it's fuzzy, it's got so much attitude, it's sexy. So I'm gonna play the riff, and the song also has a pretty prominent bass line, which outlines the tonality of the riff in a very cool way, in a very modern way, I think. And so I'll play the riff on its own first, and then I'll add bass, and so we can see how that sounds under the riff. I grabbed the Telly with the Bigsby because a bar is necessary for this riff. So grab a fuzz pedal. I grabbed a KMA Machines Minos Germanium fuzz. So obviously all pentatonic, all a familiar shape that we know. And that constant ringing on the bar is a super cool technique, and if you haven't dove into something like that, go for it. It's a very fun thing to do, and you can see him on a performance in 1975 really cranking on that bar while he's playing this riff. One of the great things about this riff, not only the tone and the personality of it, but the way that it sits over the bass line is very cool, and it shows how you can take a simple minor pentatonic shape, and depending on what the harmony is doing underneath it, the bass, you can have a completely different sounding riff. It does a totally different thing to our ears. Let's check it out. I think that the characteristic color there in the bass is the flat 6, which is, in this case, is F. We're in the key of A minor. So the bass going F, D, A. Again, I think is a super modern move, modern rock type of move. It's beautiful, it's great, and that flat 6 will work in a very cool way because the third of the flat 6 is the root of the key. It's the tonic. And so hearing an A minor pentatonic over an F chord, it's a really cool move. So try it out in other songs too. The last riff that I want to show you in this video is from a song called Deuces Wild, but this particular version is from a concert in 1996. The song from this live concert sounds like a completely different song than the song that was on the record. It came out with Rumble in 1958 and had a rebellious quality and color to his entire personality, and I think that extended through his entire career, even though he evolved in different ways. Very cool. Oh, and I still have this KMA Minos Germanium fuzz in, but I dialed the fuzz down a little bit, so it's acting maybe more as kind of like a drive. And I grabbed an SG. So obviously we have here kind of a blues form with a little bit of a twist in the turnaround and just a raucous rock and roll blues type thing. We've got kind of shapes that many of us have probably played many times before. In the key of E, doing the same thing in A, with a little twist here. And for the turnaround, going up to B, just like a blues, down to A, down to G, and back to the riff. It's interesting to think about the legacy of Link Wray and the influence there stemming probably mostly from the attitude and aggression that he performed with, and not the chops or the flashiness or look what I can do. And for this reason, it's easily accessible, I think. I think for a lot of us, we can dive into a lot of Link Wray records and hear something and think, I can play that. Whereas maybe some of our other guitar heroes, we might hear something and think like, how am I ever gonna play that? I gotta practice for months and years on end. Link had a way of communicating an attitude, and that's where the influence was. We can learn the riffs that went along with that attitude fairly easily, so I encourage you to do so.